Welcome to Let's Interrupt You, episode 242 here on, I guess this is 243. I'm not even sure what the numbers are anymore here on the show. Here on Thursday, November 30th, 2023, I am Joseph Olivo. I'm actually going to double check right now before I even keep going on the show here, and I don't even know what's going on with this phone anymore. There's been a lot of crazy NFL news that's been happening here over the last, less than 24 hours or so. Given what was been going on here, I'm going to start off with the major one, the major shocking one, and this is episode 242, and I'm double checking now. The biggest news of the day so far, and I just got this in my car ride home, was the fact that the Patriots have been booted off of Monday Night Football. They've been flexed off of Monday Night Football. They went from an 8:30 game on Monday night, December 18th, to a Sunday, December 17th, 1 o'clock game. This would have been a perfect opportunity for Taylor Swift to go to Gillette Stadium on a primetime thing on ESPN. But that's how bad the Patriots are this year. That's how bad the Patriots have been all season long at this point. They're 2-9. They suck so badly. They deserve to get off of Monday Night Football. They would have been blown out 59-0, if you want my honest opinion. That's how bad this game would have been at Monday Night Football. And this would have been the most pathetic game. Taylor Swift would have been tired and would have left by halftime. Travis would be like, just beat the traffic. It just, at that point, that's what you have to do there at that point. Another thing is, another shocking news on this one as well, I'll go back to the Patriots rant in a second here, is that Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift have moved in together officially. Taylor Swift has moved in with him. So for all the people out there who thought this was going to be over by the movie, after the movie came out, and probably after this, let's put it this way. This probably would have, her tour would have continued on. She would have extended, had this would have been a fake relationship. But in reality, it's purely real. Otherwise, why would she leave her house in Rhode Island to move in with the Kelce? I'm just saying. I don't get logic. But anyway, suck on that for all you Swift haters out there. It's the real thing. They've been dating now for, I would say, for a while now at this point. This has been the story has been they just hooked up and happened at week 3. I think this is well before the season even started, or even the idea of them going to training camp. This has been little quiet stuff right now, little, tips and pieces right now given away on the Kelce podcast, the New Heights podcast, when they were discussing how Travis tried to get her number months ago. And she finally gave in and gave him the number. And in reality, at this point, they're moving in together. So good for them. But back to the Patriots Monday Night Football. That's how pathetic the Patriots are this year. Okay? They deserve to get axed off of Monday Night Football for December 18th. They don't deserve that time slot at all. They should be axed out the Christmas Eve game as well for prime time against the Broncos and Russell Wilson. Because either way you look at it, they're not trying to win now. Robert Kraft, for a guy who I was really delusional, and to think that this team was going to win the division this year, instead now they're in last place. They're, I would say, a game and a half back of the Jets for the third place spot. They're really 4 games back of the Bills, and they're 7 games out from the Dolphins. Because I'm prefacing by saying this right now, the Dolphins will beat the Commanders this Sunday. They suck. That's all there is to it. They suck. They blow. They deserve to be kicked off of Monday Night Football. They should have been kicked off of Monday Night Football weeks ago, right after the loss they had against the Colts in Germany. They didn't have to lose to Tommy DeVito in order for that to be axed off of that. But the fact that they took this long to make this decision, smart on their end. Really is smart on their end. I think personally this was the right decision. I don't see how this would have worked out in their favor. Putting that game on primetime television, because that would have been a crappy of a game. And that goes to show you right now of how bad the Patriots have been. You can't even stay on Monday Night Football primetime with the whole world watching because no one wants to watch you. That's how bad you are this year. You have a quarterback that can't throw the ball more than 200 yards down the football field. And I don't think this is intentionally tanking here. I think Mac Jones just sucks for real. Everyone puts the hype behind Mac Jones saying how he was the greatest thing since sliced bread. And I was one of those people. But then I got to thinking about it. I'm thinking to myself, well, wait a minute. He only had 1 year starting in the NFL. And if you think about it, his high percentage throws were screenplays. And that defense was the brunt of the 90% of that winning streak. Mac Jones was the least reason behind that whole thing, which is true. because he did nothing in that Falcon. I mean, if you think about it, since that Indianapolis game, where he really just got exposed in that game against that Colt defense back in 2021, he's not been the same guy. Even that blowout loss to the Bills in the playoff game didn't help either. I mean, Mac Jones has been getting worse and worse every year up to this point, and he's now been benched 4 times this year. And this week, Zappy's been getting warm-up throws, along with Cunningham, who apparently has signed back onto the practice squad. Will Greer, who's been signed back to the practice squad, has been getting some reps as well. So I don't know if it's just a fact now that Jones is 4th in the depth chart now once this is all said and done here. I mean, I would imagine 2nd or 3rd, but 4th? I mean, that's your franchise quarterback, though. That's the quarterback that Robert chose. Not that you were all behind it and you were going to try to fix the situation here and become the next, try making them become the next Tom Brady. I think Robert Kraft just wanted a quarterback that had an arm that came from a really great school. I don't think he really cared if it was the next Tom Brady or not. As much as he liked the idea of that happening, I don't think he was realistic thinking in their heads like this is the next Tom Brady. I don't think he was. And you know something right now? He's lost all respect of the owners, Robert Kraft. He really has. That's your product that you've been putting out all year long. And they're 2-9. They deserve to get booted off of Monday Night Football. And honestly, I commend the NFL for actually having the balls to do it. To tell Robert, hey, you're done. Troy Aikman and Joe Buck do not want to sit through. Because let's think about this for a minute. They had to sit through the Bears-Vikings game. One of the worst Monday night games of the year. I don't think they want to repeat with that 3 weeks later when Gillette. If we're going to be realistic here, I don't think he really wanted to sit through that at all. That's just my opinion. I hate the way my shirt looks sitting down like this. I don't know why my shirt's like that, but anyway. It's going to probably be like that for the rest of the show. But anyway, I just thought I had to bring that up. Them being booted off of Monday Night Football, they deserve it. They deserve everything they get. And the idea that anybody thought for 1 second here that this was, a bad idea for the big, because now at this point, no one's going to take them seriously next year. They're not going to be on Monday Night Football next year. I don't know what the hell that was. There's a bunch of little kids walking home from school. I just saw somebody just got hurt outside my house or fall outside on the road towards my house. But anyway, nothing happened. Just a bunch of kids who were acting dumb. Anyway, so that's not the only news that we got this week. We got some retirement news. Deshaun Jackson announcing his retirement after 15 years in the NFL. He's been named the honorary captain for this Sunday as the Eagles play the San Francisco 49ers NFC title rematch. We're going to get a really interesting big-time matchup with the Eagles and the 49ers. A lot of people are picking the 49ers to win this game. I think the 49ers are actually favored, I believe. I'm not really 100% sure. Or it might be an even spread here of them being the favorite here. But Deshaun Jackson to retire as an Eagle here wasn't really a shock because really, let's be realistic here. No one remembers his time in Washington. He didn't really do much of anything else with any other team, really. He did a hell of a lot more with the Eagles towards the end of his career. And really, if you think about it, he was kind of technically with the Raiders at one point, which he could have taken that team to the Super Bowl had the Raiders not cut him for some stupid odd reason. I'm not sure why they cut him. There was never really an answer why they cut him. There really wasn't. But Deshaun Jackson had a memorable career. A lot of people don't give him a lot of respect for it, not mainly because they listen to Donovan McNabb, who's like one of the most, prejudiced, political quarterbacks in NFL history, and never respected Deshaun Jackson at all. But his ability, his all-pro skills, what he's brought to the table of that Eagle team over the years, and he brought a lot of great moments, especially when in that 2010 year, where that punt return against the Giants, like that, to end the game, right around Christmas time. Like that was a Christmas gift to get that Eagle team to the playoffs that year because that team was an awesome team to watch. And I think realistically, they should have made the playoffs the following year with Michael Vick, but they decided to go with Vince Young and Michael Vick and splitting that up. It was a dumb decision move there. And I think realistically, they were trying to get Andy Reid fired just for that. And it wasn't even an Andy Reid call. There was times where I look back in that season, I think to myself, man, this Eagle team does not know what they're doing. They went from that to Chip Kelly and then Doug Peterson, which they should have just went for Doug Peterson from day one and not taking Chip Kelly from the outside and college football world. But hey, what do I know? Anyway, but yeah, Deshaun Jackson announced his retirement. Great wide receiver. I don't know if he's first ballot Hall of Fame. I think he's going to be in the Hall of Fame someday. Give it like 10, 15 years down the road. I think he'll be in the Hall of Fame. I think honestly at this point, if he's like a Muhsin Muhammad and is forgotten about for years and years at this point, I'd be shocked. But anyway, I don't think that's the case with Deshaun Jackson. I think he'll be in the Hall of Fame 6 years down the road. Heck, he might be a first ballot Hall of Fame. You never know. I don't think he really is personally, because it's like he's been on and off again with injuries, I would say well past 2013, 2014 at that point. Not really memorable times in Washington, really, although he was good with Washington at certain points, not all the time. Plus, the quarterback play started to die down a little bit when RG3, career pretty much came to a close. Then you had Kirk Cousins there. That wasn't really that great. And I think they were down with, I don't know who else they would have had at the time in Washington. But anyway. Also, you got the news right now of Lions opening practice for Hendon Hooker, who's been dealing with a torn ACL since last November of last year. He could not join the team meetings, I guess, apparently, because against the rules, I guess, for somebody who was on the IR. So he wasn't throwing the ball and stuff like that. This was his first time throwing the ball, and he looked pretty good, apparently, according to Dan Campbell. So good news on that part there for Hendon Hooker. And I think, honestly, at this point, it was shocking that he went to Detroit. I actually forgot he was on the Lions roster to begin with. When I first heard about the news, I think to myself, Hendon Hooker. Oh, that's right. He was taken third overall. That makes sense. They all thought because Jared Goff's going to suck this year, but the Lions turned out to be 8-3 and turned his whole season around and putting themselves in their favor here, which they still might get the number 1 seed. I wouldn't really doubt this team at this point getting that number 1 seed, because the way the schedule looks right now, the way San Francisco looks right now, the way Philadelphia's schedule looks right now, Detroit's got an easier schedule going forward. The only 2 tough opponents they're going to have is the Vikings twice. That's it. And even then, I don't think that'll be that tough, because you got Joshua Dobbs there who sucks, who just threw 5 interceptions on Monday Night Football just past Monday. So I just wouldn't be surprised. The NFL suspending cameraman for the remainder of the 2023 season following the Tyreek Hill viral touchdown video that he had to celebrate. This was dating back to where I think it was. I don't think it wasn't the Bronco game. I know that it was using the phone as a prop. I guess he took the phone as a prop, I guess, and he did the backflip selfie wise. The cameraman's name is Kevin Fitzgibbons. Been suspended for the remainder of the season, according to the NFL. The suspension happened on Wednesday. And they're saying he's suspended for the 23 season and possibly for good for allowing Hill to use his camera as a prop in the celebration, according to the New York Post. Hill's celebration went viral as a result of him using the phone as a prop. The NFL then let them know that I was suspended for the remainder of the season and possibly for good. Fitzgibbons said in a video posted on the thing. They said, regardless if I knew the celebration was coming or not, I still had to be disciplined, and I shouldn't have jumped on the sidelines after the play. One of the best moments of my life turned upside down in a matter of seconds. I get why the NFL had to make this decision and wish I could have done something to prevent it, but I'm thankful for the memory Tyreek gave me, he said. This was the greatest job in the world, and I never took a day for granted. I can't thank the NFL enough for getting another chance at doing what I love. He'll then end up getting fined for the celebration. Here's the thing that really pisses me off. And I'm glad I'm glad the NFL didn't decide not to fine Hill for that. I thought the whole thing was dumb anyway. I thought the idea of it being unsportsmanlike conduct. It's okay for Tyreek Hill to go in the cameraman's booth, right, and operate the actual camera for the broadcasting for the game. It's okay for that. He can't get fined for that or anything else like that. That's fine. But the cameraman can't be a part of the celebration. He can't handle the prop. We've seen fans hand and cameraman people and all this stuff aside, taking selfies with the fans and stuff like that over for years at this point. Why did this kid get fired? I don't get why the NFL did what they did here in firing this kid. I don't think this kid deserved to lose his job. That's the best memory that any person could ask for. You got someone who's like as talented as Tyreek Hill is, using your phone as a prop. You're saving that forever. That memory is instilled in your brain forever, whether it's on the phone or not. And the reality is, it's an enjoyable moment. This is what. Why is the NFL turning into a no fun league? I don't get that logic. The kid can't have a memory that'll last him a lifetime here. That you had someone like Tyreek Hill use your phone as a prop for a backflip, or in this case here, he could have filmed it. I don't get it. Like, was he not supposed to hand him the phone? And the fact of the matter is, he snagged the phone from him. It's not like they were planning this out. It's not like he came out to the game and said, "Hey, we're going to do this." I don't understand why the NFL fired this kid. I don't get it. I don't get it. The whole point of this job is to have a lasting experience, be a part of every NFL game, and watch every celebration go on as it happens. I don't get it. I don't get it. What does it take away from the game? I don't understand it. It takes nothing away. It's just the NFL with a bunch of grumpy old men and Roger Goodell, who's never been fun at all to begin with. He's taken the fun away from the league since he became commissioner. If we're going to be realistic here, this is Roger Goodell making the league boring. It's making it political. It's making it fundamental rule book. You might as well be in school learning the rule book when watching the broadcaster talk about it every single freaking week. That's how Goodell likes it, I guess. Did Goodell not have a fun childhood? Is that what it is? Or these NFL owners at this point just wants the game to be over with at this point so they can just collect their paychecks. That's how you gotta look at it. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like this cameraman did something that he loved at this point, and he lost his job because Tyreek Hill snagged his phone and he did a viral video on TikTok. First of all, that's more promotion for a lot of NFL viewers who can't even physically watch the game itself, but at least can go on TikTok and know what's going on or watch some certain celebrations. Look, it's not easy watching every game every Sunday for 3 hours. It's not easy to do. Try doing it for 12 to 13 hours a day. It's tough. It's a pain in the ass. It's not easy. To take that away from somebody who's getting paid to film these games for you guys, he can't have someone use his phone for a good 10 seconds? That's a little harsh. A little extreme, I think, by the NFL. And at this point, it's like, it's so sad because, like, it's turned into no fun league. You can't do a celebration. You can't do this anymore. You can't do that anymore. Why? Why? Can you try and make the NFL political at this point? That's what fans hate. And if you don't care about the fans at this point and what they want to watch and what they think is entertaining and it's fun, then there's no point. Then there's no point of having. Then really you're just pushing away all your viewers. That's all there is to it. I think the whole thing was stupid. I think the fact that this guy lost his job, either there was something behind the scenes that this guy did besides this or not. It's okay for that cameraman, though, to basically flop when Davante Adams shoved him to the ground. When in reality, he didn't even give him like a hard shove. He gave him like a little nudge. It's okay for him to try to sue Davante Adams and stuff like that and keep his job. It's not okay for this guy to have Tyreek Hill take his phone for 10 seconds. That makes no sense to me. That makes no sense to me. I just think that's just ridiculous. Just the idea of that. It's just stupid. Anyway. Mike Tomlin hailing TJ Watt as the best defensive player on the planet on CBS Sports. This was mentioned after the game he had against the Bengals, where he sat Jake Bryan twice. Could be on the verge of Defensive Player of the Year. He's got 91 career sacks in his career. He's already passed his brother, JJ Watt, who's enjoying the CBS analyst booth. I think TJ Watt right now is tied with the best defensive player right now in Myles Garrett. As far as defensive best player on the planet goes, a little high of a statement there. That's all I'm saying. Because didn't Myles Garrett like go beast mode on your quarterback like three or four times in that game? I'm just saying. But I'm kind of intrigued right now to see what. I mean, I know we already saw Browns Steelers at the beginning of the year with week 2 with Matt Canada, but I would love to see that in a playoff game again. That I would love to see. I don't know if we're going to see it this year, but I would love to see it in a playoff game to see what, which defense, stalls or holds that team back. Because Kenny Pickett at this point is a guy right now who's Matt Canada free. Just look at it that way. Next year, you're going to get no more Matt Canada games with the Steelers. And I think the Steelers right now might be better. Pickett might be a better quarterback now without Matt Canada being around. It's too bad that he's basically stalled Ben Roethlisberger Hall of Fame status, though. That's too bad that happened, though. It really is. But for Mike Tomlin here to say that about TJ Watt here, I mean, listen, Watt's been around now for a long time. This guy has played through a torn bicep, torn labrum. He's a badass on the football field. This guy's a menace to society. He's gonna be. He's already at this point eclipsing like Reggie White status and Lawrence Taylor status if he hasn't done it already. Myles Garrett's on his way of doing the exact same thing too. So this has been fun this year watching those two go at it. I think Myles Garrett and TJ Watt right now are the GOATs right now of defensive players right now, currently. I think Fred Warner's not that far behind. I think Chase Young's not that far behind, along with Nick Bosa. And I think Hargrave. I think of Hedges Reddick. I think of George Kalafakis. No one's really been breaking up his name a lot this year, although he's been overshadowed by Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and the Swifties. But I think as far as talent goes, those are the guys you got to look at right now. And Roquan Smith as well in that conversation as well. So there's at least 10 great defensive players I just named right there. Or I think it might have been like 5 or 6. I think I lost count. But anyway, you get my point. You also got Micah Parsons. You also got Von Miller, who's had a really off year this year. I think of AJ Espinosa, Matt Milano, if he would have kept on going this year and played through the torn ACL. I don't know. Just saying. Speaking of Von Miller facing a domestic violence charges after an incident in Dallas involving a domestic abuse, assaulting a pregnant woman as considered a third-degree felony. And this took place in his home in Dallas to his pregnant wife, or pregnant girlfriend, I should say. If this is actually true, I don't see how Von Miller can get out of this one. Really, I mean, I guess they can. I guess they can. In this case here, like they can take this to court and stuff like that. They can plead not guilty and stuff like that. The case could be dropped. I mean, these things happen a lot. But if this turns out to be true, and I'm a Von Miller support kind of guy, I really am. I follow this guy for most of his career. I liked what he did in Denver. I like what he's doing for Buffalo. But if this turns out to be true, I don't see how the Von cast can continue, and I don't see how his time in Buffalo can even last. So this could be major bad news. Sad news, really, if you think about it, if you're a Buffalo Bill fan. I mean, you're wearing a Von Miller jersey now at this point. Now you're going to be supporting a guy who beats up pregnant women. I just think it's just wrong. Anyway, and if it comes out all true, I've lost all respect for Von Miller. I'm just being realistic there. Hassan Reddick challenging 49ers to come back, quote, to come back to Philly and prove they're better. Deebo Samuel saying the Phillies defensive backs are trash. It's been a lot of back and forth Twitter beef, social media beef going on with the Eagles and the 49ers at this point. This is going to be a great game this Sunday, and I cannot wait to do the picks for these games tomorrow. Tyreek Hill saying the Dolphins are better than the Chiefs, the team that helped the Chiefs from 2019 that won the Super Bowl title. He said that he led that team to winning it, which he's not wrong, because if it wasn't that big catch late in the game in that fourth quarter, they would have never gotten those 2 or 3 scores they had in the game. Let's put it that way. I got to be honest here at this point. I think the Dolphins right now are kind of better than the Chiefs. I hate to say it. I think of that 2023 Dolphins who would face that 2019 Chiefs team. I got to be realistic here, because the Chiefs defense overall wasn't top notch. They were not. They were guys that no one even heard of before. They were starting to make a name for themselves a little bit there. I mean, they to me just didn't seem like a time. Like they had Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. That was really all the guys you really needed to worry about if you're facing Kansas City, and Mahomes. Otherwise, who else did you really have, really? At least with the Dolphins, you have like defensive talent on the other side of the ball, other than Waddle and Hill and Morissette. I mean, you had some speedsters on that whole team. Braxton Berrios in the punt return game, and also in receiving. I mean, Braxton Berrios and I think McCall Harmon are kind of similar at this point. But as far as 2 speedy wide receivers here, and a really good and a pretty decent tight end, and pretty great offensive line, and a pretty scary front four for the defensive side of the ball, and a great secondary that's getting better and better every week with Xavier Howard, Eli Apple, and Jalen Ramsey, and Anthony Van Ginkel at sometimes at linebacker or safety, and Cuckoo. I mean, that Dolphin defense could be a little intimidating. So I got to say right now, I think Tyreek Hill might be right in this one. He's not really right very oftenly. There was a video I was going to show you here on TPS, but apparently they copyrighted the video. So it was a long video too. It was about 10 minutes here at this point. But yeah, there was also another video on YouTube, by the way, of Joe Montana actually quitting at halftime of a Super Bowl. Wasn't in it. He was in analysis, but I guess the analysis stole his idea and he quit. I do have the clip actually. I can actually play on here. They didn't actually copyright this, so this is actually perfect.
When you think of Joe Montana, there are a number of words that come to mind. Quarterback, clutch, champion. These are just a few. Quitter probably isn't on that list. But what if we told you that you wouldn't be wrong to label Joe Cool as a quitter? Because that's exactly what he did during the Super Bowl back in 1996. Montana wasn't playing in the big game, of course. He had retired 1 year earlier. Instead, the former Niners QB was working with NBC as an analyst for Super Bowl 30 between the Steelers and Cowboys, which the latter won 27-17. As the story goes, Montana called his wife during Diana Ross's halftime show and said, "I quit. I'm out of here. I can't do this." Apparently, the final straw came when Joe outlined how to stop the Cowboys' offense during a pre-halftime meeting. But his idea was shut down, only to have one of the other analysts bring it up instead once they were on the air. Between that incident and the idea of criticizing players every week, Montana grew to despise his role as an analyst. So after just one season in the studio, in the middle of Super Bowl 30, he quit just like...
The fact that Joe Montana did that, though, I mean, I got to say this one right now. Either Tom Brady watched that analyst video and realized, I can't be like that. I can't quit. Because, I mean, at this point, this is why I think Tom Brady – this is why that Tom Brady criticizing the NFL thing came out a few days before that. That's the only thing I can come up with realistically here. Because, I mean, how could he not watch that on YouTube? Like, everybody has watched that video on YouTube at this point. I think a lot of people have, like that are old-timers probably remember that. See, to me, I kind of didn't think of that, really. I didn't think that Montana was an analyst who just quit. Like, I've heard Montana quit, like, you know, calling his wife at that point and saying, I quit. But I didn't realize what the reasoning was. In fact, I completely forgot about this, really. But yeah, I mean, they think of Joe Montana being a quitter, but not Tom, you know, and Tom Brady can't criticize analysis here. What kind of world do we live in at this point? And now Tom Brady's is criticizing the league at this point and like calling out the coaches and stuff like that. It's great. I think that makes him ready for Fox for next year. That's for sure. And I kind of hope he's a play-by-play guy, and I hope he really gets like the nitty-gritty into it. I think he's well prepared at this point that a lot of people actually think, because people still don't believe that he's going to be that good at Fox. I mean, at this point, if he's willing to criticize the NFL before his career starts at Fox next year, he's ready. He's watching every week. I mean, he's got to for podcast content as well with Jim Gray. Otherwise, what's the point? But it's interesting. The NFL mock draft came out. The Bears, according to this one, are passing on Caleb Williams at this point and will trade for the fourth pick to the Falcons, who move up to a quarterback here. So here's what the Falcons were getting. The Falcons get the number 4 overall, number overall of 105. Bears get the 8th overall, number 45th, and number 68 in the 3rd round. So here's how the draft order is going to go according to this at this point. So lot 2, they get the number 1 pick, and it's going to be the UCLA defensive edge player, Latitude. The Cardinals are going to be picking Marvin Harrison Jr. according to this mock draft. And Caleb Williams is going to end up as a New England Patriot here. That's the only way the Patriots ever get back to Monday Night Football and stuff like that in prime time, is that if they draft Caleb Williams or draft a Drake May or draft a Shedeur Sanders, draft a quarterback, and draft some offensive linemen later on. Because to me, the way I look at it right now going forward is that if your future isn't on the hands right now of Will Grier, Malik Cunningham, Bailey Zappi, and Mac Jones, you don't have much of a future for the next 5 or 10 years down the road. And I didn't want Caleb Williams at this point because of all that emotional spook stuff, like Sam Darnold's mindset. I just didn't want that. But I think Caleb Williams could be a much better player. And I got to be honest here. I would rather see Caleb Williams on an organization with a different head coach, because Bill Belichick's not going to stick around next year. There's no way Bill Belichick now at this point sticks around after that news of them being kicked out of Monday Night Football. There's no way in hell that happens. So I think they're going to get, honestly, realistically here, here's the way I look at it right now. If they do get Caleb Williams in the draft here, here's my prediction. Before I really think they're going to get a head coach, why not Ben Johnson? Get an offensive-minded guru kind of guy. Why do you need to have, like, at this point, if you need an offensive coordinator at this point, I wouldn't get Bill O'Brien. I would just, I would say, because I think Shane's, I think at this point, you get, because I think Kellen Moore is going to be on his way out anyway of LA. And plus, realistically here, Ben Johnson and Kellen Moore to me just sound like a really good combination for like as far as New England Patriot head coaches go. And I got to say, realistically here, I just think to myself it would make more sense because the way that Detroit's offense is going right now at this point is excellent. And it's all on Ben Johnson 100%. Nothing to do with Dan Campbell at all. And I think Kellen Moore, I think at this point right now, they're not jiving right now. Even if you bring in Bill Belichick, Kellen Moore's not going to have any hearsay whatsoever. So I think if I'm the Chargers at this point and I'm on a trade at this point, third or fourth round draft pick, and you get Kellen Moore, your offensive coordinator in the trade. And if you want to bring in some players, bring another defensive player in there involved here, I want Asante Samuel Jr. to join up with the Patriots just to stick it to Bill Belichick here that you can't coach Asante Samuel's son. That's one way of doing it. You get the perfect trade here. Kellen Moore, your offensive coordinator. You get Ben Johnson, the head coach, and I think you get some draft capital here. This is a three-way trade between the Lions, Chargers, and the Patriots. That's the way I see it. Anyway, in this mock draft, they had the Falcons getting Drake May. Jane Daniels ends up being the number 5th pick overall in the first round of the Giants, which I think is a smart move because I think getting Daniel Jones out of there would be a big help. And wherever he goes from here, who cares? He can go to Tampa Bay for all I care. I don't really care what happens to Daniel Jones. Malik Nevers goes to LSU in the 6th pick overall, the first round. Olima Fashion goes to 7th according to this mock draft here. The Bears get a defensive lineman and Jazeer Newton out of Illinois. He was the best interior pass rusher in the class, and he was hands down for Illinois. Joe Alt goes to the Packers, offensive tackle. The wide receiver out of Washington, Rome Ordunez, who's been the best thing for Michael Penix Jr. this season, goes to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Might be Mike Evans's replacement. You never know. Thales Fuga, the offensive lineman out of Oregon State, goes to the Jets. That could be an easy Patriot pick right there. I think the Jets and Patriots might swap picks here. I don't see how that happens here, but this could happen 2 years in a row. And I think realistically I think that will happen here. That's my prediction. I don't think that guy's going to end up going to the Jets. I think some of the Patriots somehow convince the Jets to make that pick happen. They'll give up. I think that's where they give up Mac Jones. I can't believe I'm actually going to say it here, but I think Mac Jones might be the guy that they actually get rid of for that pick. Although I think realistically it's never going to happen here. But as far as talent goes, as far as what they could give up for first-round talent here, Hunter Henry sounds like a good choice here. You get another tight end here if you're the Jets. Along with CJ Uzomah, you get Hunter Henry here. You get Thales Fuga in trade here. That makes a lot of sense here. Chop Robertson, defensive edge rusher, goes into the Chargers in this mock draft here. The tight end, Brock Bowers out of Georgia. He goes to the LA Rams. Great combination with Tyler Higbee at this point. Might be good for Carson Wentz because I think Matthew Stafford's on his way out of LA. I just have that funny feeling. I don't think Matthew Stafford's going to stick around that long in LA at this point because why would he at this point? Carson Wentz is not going to be there to be a bench rower for Matthew Stafford and not play the rest of the NFL this season. I'm just saying. You got Kool-Aid McKinstry coming in at number 14, the defensive back out of Alabama, going to the Raiders. Nate Wiggins going to the Indianapolis Colts in the 15th overall pick. 16th is Cooper DeJean going to Denver from out of Iowa. 17th is Keon Coleman out of Florida State going to Cincinnati. Great wide receiver right now. And I think that could be the guy that replaces T. Higgins. Higgins is on his way out at this point. He's going to be a free agent next year. They don't have any long-term plans for him. So Keon Coleman could be the next guy up. Xavier Leggett, projected rate 16th or 101 prospect rank, 18th pick overall, taken by the Bills. Bo Nix is going to end up as a Viking in the 20th pick, but the pick before that one is J.C. Latham. I could go either way with this one for the Patriots. You could get either J.C. Latham on here or Tellez Funga out of Oregon State. I wouldn't mind either one. Dallas Turner is going to end up out of Alabama, going to end up in Arizona. I think that would be an interesting move here. I think you're going to have a defensive edge rusher, splash linebacker here. It kind of replaces Isaiah Simmons, the missing piece in that defense. And it could be a long-term plan for the Cardinals to rebuild. I mean, who knows? That's all about their defense here. They got a defensive-minded head coach. If they decide to keep Jonathan Gannon, which I don't think they're going to, but you never know. So Graham Barton, offensive tackle out of Duke. Good pick. Kalen King going to the Steelers out of Penn State, not too far from home. 24th pick overall with Jared Verse out of Florida State. Very great defensive edge rusher. I've seen this guy in person. The guy's a monster. Awesome pick by the Texans if they were to pull that one off. And that's from the Cleveland Browns, by the way, because of the Deshaun Watson move. Jordan Morgan out of Arizona going to go to the Dolphins. Leonard Taylor III is going to the Cowboys out of Miami. Kareem Kitchens. Nice combination right now you could have right now with Talang Hunga. A nice guy to learn off at this point. He's going to be entering his 3rd year. You got a guy going to and it's a safety need for the 49ers at this point to get. They need to cash in if they want this guy to go be part of that mock draft. Booker's going to go to the Jaguars out of Ohio State. Nice number 2 guy behind Marvin Harrison Jr. I wouldn't be surprised if he does go to Jacksonville here and play alongside with Calvin Ridley and Christian Kirk here. Another great piece they can have here. It could be a good number 3. Xavier Worthy's going to go to Kansas City out of Texas. I think that's a much needed wide receiver help right now for the Chiefs right now. They could use a lot more wide receivers on that team anyway, so go for it. The draft's not going to be for another 5 months or 4 months from now. Braylon Trice, defensive edge rusher out of Washington, going to go to Detroit. Tyler Newman's going to go to the Ravens out of the Golden Gophers. And finally, Jordan Ellis is going to be the number 32 pick because apparently CBS has the Eagles this year winning the Super Bowl. So that's how it goes. I like the mock draft they had so far. I could go either way with the offensive tackles here. And if the Patriots want to get back to realistically go from worst to first here, draft Caleb Williams, get J.C. Latham or Talise Fuanga out of Oregon State. That is your best chance at this point. You need an offensive tackle. You need a quarterback here. You could use a wide receiver. You could. I wouldn't really necessarily go get – unless you want to get Malik Nevers at this point from the Titans, I guess. I don't know what you do there, but I have a funny feeling that the Patriots are going to trade for a tackle in the mid-rounds here between the Saints and the Jets. I'm not sure who they're going to take, though. Let's see. We had some baseball news. Sonny Gray signing a 3-year, $75 million deal with the Cardinals back on Tuesday. I didn't even get a chance to talk about this at all. It happened right after their show went off the air. Also, what happened this week as well was Luis Servino signing a deal with the Mets. Longtime Yankee starter crossing over from the Bronx to the Queens. So just look at it that way. Very interesting stuff. I'm kind of intrigued of how this is going to play out for Servino. Servino had a crap bag year last year. That's why he only had the 1-year deal. His stock value dropped. Plus, he was doing some issues off the field. So I got to say, realistically, with the off the field issues and the injuries here, I can see him having like a slump back of a year. Not as slumpy as it was last year, but still in that little fog there. I think he stays with the Mets though overall because the Mets always take players who are always lost souls. So there you go. Titus Howard, the offensive lineman for the Texans, is out for the year due to a knee injury. I think he sustained that during practice per report. I didn't find the report of where it was exactly where he did it in, but it happened. Let's see. We got some baseball news we got to get into besides this one as well. The Red Sox are trying to make a big splash to get Dylan Cease in a trade. So the White Sox and Red Sox are collaborating on a trade. They have I think the deadline is tomorrow, I believe, or Saturday, for when they can actually make these things happen, or for when it could start, actually. So there's a good news front there on that one. Just find out now what the flex replacement was going to be at this point. They're going to put the Eagles and Seahawks game, replacing the Monday Night Football game as well, replacing the Chiefs Patriots game. So now we know what's replacing that one. And Indiana is hiring James Madison coach Signigi as the new head coach. Kurt Signity, I believe his name is. Signity. So James Madison leaving James Madison to go to Indiana. So that would be interesting what happens going forward with that one. I don't know if the Indiana will be that good. They need a coaching change at this point. They got rid of their head coach, but I don't know. This may be a little too much for Kurt to handle here. That's the way I look at it. Let's see. We got some NBA scores and highlights going on right now. I'm going to go from the NBA in-season tournament here. The Celtics beat the Bulls 124-97 on Tuesday. That was a point differential here they needed to get here in order to win. They were hacking Andre Drummond. I say great for them. Andre Drummond deserves to get hacked in this one here. Billy Donovan was getting in Joe Mazzulla's grill. They talked it out. The Bulls need to cry me a river with this because they've lost 8 of their last 9. Their team's quitting, and he's losing the team, Billy Donovan. And he doesn't like the idea of Andre Drummond getting hacked at this point and missing free throws. Look, Everyone's been doing it now for years now at this point with Andre Drummond. Everybody knows he sucks at the free throw line. It's the way to go. It's a great strategy. Shut up. And because of that, now they face the Indiana Pacers next week in the in-season tournament here. They face the Sixers on tomorrow, actually, at home. The Celtics improved to 14-4. I guess the players weren't happy about the fact that they were getting back on the floor. They were putting the stars back in the game. I guess look at it like this. It's more humiliating watching Sam Hauser drilling threes on you if you're a Bulls guy, knowing the fact that he's not a real starter. Brown scored 30 points in that game. Tatum scored 21. Tatum was 21, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. Brown was 30 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. Al Horford had 16 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists. Derek White had 14 points, 3 rebounds, 7 assists. Drew Holiday had 14 points, 7 rebounds, 9 assists. A little soft though about how he felt about the Bulls, saying that we didn't mean to be disrespectful. It's a good enough time to be disrespectful. It really is. It's a good enough time to be disrespectful. I don't see why at this point you can't be aggressive here. They're up by 30 or 35 points at this point. I guess people were like taken aback by, the Stars are back on the floor. I love it. I don't like the Stars when they get out the floor and stuff like that, and they put the bench out there, and the bench doesn't even try. They let them run all over them. Wake up. The Celtics are, have got to stop being soft there and be men. Be real men here and take the league by the throat if they want to win a championship. I think this in-season tournament is great. I kind of wish it would last till the All-Star break so that way the Celtics can actually have bigger balls here. That's the way I look at it. Some people are calling it Missoula being too serious about this tournament here. Here's the way I look at it. It's the only way the Celtics can actually realize at this point that they've been soft all these years and they need to get back to being to being the bullies that they've always been when they won those 17 championships. So I think the more you do this tournament here, the more you put these guys on the floor late in games, the more you end the rest management bullcrap thing. I think they should just keep on going with this. I love it. I love it. It actually makes you think the Celtics actually have balls, and they actually do. The Bucks won on Tuesday, 131-124 over the Miami Heat. In that game here, Giannis Antetokounmpo and Lillard combined for 65 points to earning a quarterfinal berth here. The Bucks, I believe, are taking on. If I want to look at the schedule real quickly here for them, they're not playing the tournament again until that's that Tuesday against the Knicks. I think it is. Yeah. So it's that Tuesday against the Knicks. They'll be facing in the Knicks in the quarterfinal here. Giannis had 33 points. Lillard had 32. Giannis was 33, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. Lillard was 32 points, 4 rebounds, and 9 assists in that game. With the Heat, it was no Butler in this game. Bam Adebayo had 31 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. Richardson had 20 points, 3 rebounds, 7 assists. Duncan Robinson had 13 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. And Lowry had 21 points, 4 rebounds, and 6 assists. The Brooklyn Nets beat the Raptors 115-103. New York Knicks beat the Charlotte Hornets 115-91. The Timberwolves beat the Oklahoma City Thunder 106-103. Mavericks beat the Rockets 121-115. The Warriors, after being up by 24 points, lost to the Kings by 124-123. And the Cavaliers beat the Hawks 128-105. That was on Tuesday. Last night, Lakers beat the Pistons 133-107. The Raptors beat the Suns 112-105. The Memphis Grizzlies beat the Utah Jazz 105-91. Clippers beat the Kings 131-117. The Magic beat the Wizards 139-120. Pelicans beat the Sixers 124-114. And finally, the Nuggets beat the Rockets 134-124. Games on tonight. You got the Trailblazers at the Cavaliers. Pacers at the Heat. Hornets at the Nets. Pistons at the Knicks. Bucks at the Bulls. The Utah Jazz at the Minnesota Timberwolves. Atlanta Hawks at the San Antonio Spurs. Lakers at the Thunder. And the Clippers are at the Golden State Warriors tonight. So that's a very interesting little NBA news story there. I like the fact that the Celtics, though, are competitive, though, in these tournament games. I think they should be competitive every single year. I don't think they should have had an in-season tournament for them to actually give them balls here at this point. But they need to start being the bullies here. I mean, at least be the Pistons from the 90s here when they used to, beat up Michael Jordan's Bulls. I would love to see that again in the NBA. I hate this cupcake soft crap. It with no defense. It's annoying. We got a little bit of the defense back, though, this year, though, which is good. It's a good note there on that one there. I I want to circle back to my Red Sox stuff for a second because I really didn't get a chance to cover the Dylan Cease thing that much. If Dylan Cease ends up with the Red Sox here, this is actually a big deal here. I think they should get the deal done. I think realistically here at this point, Cease is wasting his career away in Chicago to a rebuilding franchise that has been rebuilding now for a while, and they just go on a decline every year. To me, I think you need a starting pitcher or two. I think this is what needs. This is what the new general manager wanted to have happen here. You get Dylan Cease here, another former White Sox player, join with another former White Sox and Chris Sale here. I like this idea a lot. It would make a lot more sense here. I think realistically at this point, if I'm the Red Sox, I would look for another starting pitcher as well. I would look for another closer as well too, because I don't think Jensen's going to do it. I don't think it's going to work out at this point. I forgot to mention this on Tuesday as well here. The Oakland A's are going to Las Vegas, but Oakland might be getting a new team. A new expansion team might be coming in at this point called the Oakland Ballers. That's been discussed as well, and according to CBS Sports on that one as well. The owners did approve of the move to Las Vegas a couple of weeks ago at this point. Nick Martinez is heading to the Reds on a 2-year deal. Very interesting there. Very awesome stuff at this point. Brewers Churro to break record with an extension here. Could be the youngest prospect deal of all time. He's number 7 on the prospect list according to MLB Network. Expected to sign top outfielder prospect Jackson Churro to a record-breaking contract extension on Thursday per the New York Post. Churro is 19 years old, is set to sign an 8-year, $80 million deal. That's a hell of a deal. That's a hell of a pickup too, and a hell of a move by the Brewers too. I think this guy could be the future of that Milwaukee franchise. He could be the new face of the Milwaukee Brewers at this point. Right now, at this point was Yelich, but I think here, realistically, this Churro kid, he's one hell of a talent. I've watched this kid play interleague baseball. I've seen it on the news. I've seen it all over YouTube right now. Guy's a hell of a player. He's gonna get a hell of a deal too, just like the Mariners outfielder we've got. I can't think of his name off the top of my head here. Why am I drawing a blank on his name? Julio Rodriguez. That's what I think of here. He's like a Julio Rodriguez. I think Julio Rodriguez should leave Seattle, go to Milwaukee though, and join up with Churro here in Yelich. That team would be a hell of a watch in 2024 if all three of those guys were on the same team. It'd be like the Red Sox of 2018 when they had Benintendi, Bradley Jr., and Mookie Betts. Speaking of Jackie Bradley Jr., he announced his retirement. I forgot to mention this a few days ago as well. He's retired from the game. He retired on Tuesday. 2-time World Series champion, Gold Glover winner, and a guy who really, since leaving the Red Sox, just felt in decline and just never was really the same at that point. So sorry to hear that he left. All right, let's get into some hockey scores from Tuesday here. I'm going to wrap a rapid fire session here. Maple Leafs beat the Panthers 2-1 in a shootout. Hurricanes beat the Flyers 4-1. Nashville Predators won in overtime over the Penguins 3-2. Dallas shut out Winnipeg 2-0. Chicago Blackhawks beat the Kraken 4-3. Edmonton Oilers won in a shootout over the Vegas Golden Knights 5-4. Devils beat the Islanders 5-4. The Wild beat the Blues 3-1. And Arizona Coyotes beat the Tampa Bay Lightning 3-1. And the Vancouver Canucks beat the Ducks 3-1. That was on Tuesday, by the way. Yet last night, Patrick Kane, who I don't know has made his debut yet with the Detroit Red Wings, but he did sign with them earlier this week. He said he chose there because it was a right fit there. It was a right move. I think he played in this game. I'm not 100% sure, but they lost the Rangers last night. His former team he wasn't in the playoffs with last season, 3-2. The Capitals beat the LA Kings 2-1, and Montreal beat Columbus 4-2. Now, the reason I'm sticking around with hockey for just a second here, only because here I just wanted to bring this point up here right now that the Bruins have become soft. I'm sorry to say it, but you go from Yomark here allowing 7 goals here and Yankees swimming out at this point. I don't know if Montgomery at this point is starting to rethink at this point the whole swimming approach here at this point and make him go back to number 2 and make Yomark your number 1 guy. In 2 games, he's allowed 9 goals. Not a good idea to switch him back to number 1 at this point. He's not. He's been the number 2 guy now at this point. Now he knew that from the start of the season at this point, and you're moving it back here, and now the players are against that move. I don't like this. because now at this point he might be losing the room here. There's been reports saying right now that Montgomery could be possibly losing the room. That's not good if you're losing the room at this point. You know what I'm losing right now? My picture right now at this point because of this light being off. Give me 1 second here. 1 second. There we go. Now we got light in here. I was starting to realize at this point the lighting in the room was getting darker in here because it's getting a little darker outside. Well, not as dark, not yet anyway. It's not pitch black, but you kind of get my point. But anyway, I wanted to bring that up because the Bruins have been on a 3-game losing streak, and apparently they haven't practiced in 10 days because apparently there's this father's kind of thing. I don't know. I heard from Felgram as a 98.5, the sports hub, and the story is apparently is that they had like a little father's tribute, I guess, old timers tribute, I guess, for the Bruins. I'm not sure what it was, but apparently they chose not to practice for that. They participated in that instead. So I guess Montgomery, wanted the practice to happen. The players decided not to do it. Marchand, who's been slumping for the last 6 or 7 games, not getting a goal. Pasternak playing with like 2 goals in the last 8 to 9 games. I just think it's kind of sad. It really is. And I think I got to say, realistic for a team that started out really well this year, if they just collapse, let's put it this way. If they collapse this year and miss the playoffs after the start they had this year, I don't know if Montgomery survives his coaching job. I don't think he does. And where do you go from here if that happens? Who do you get as the next head coach? Because at this point, I kind of look at this and I'm thinking to myself, this looks bad for the Bruins. If they decide to fire Montgomery here over this, it'd be the 3rd or 4th boneheaded decision making that they've done here over the years. And the Bruins have been good at making boneheaded decisions at certain times. So I don't know. To me, it's like you go through coaches like the Reds go through GMs. It's not a good look. So I don't know. I just had to bring that point up. But the Rangers did play last night. They did beat the Red Wings, who was actually the one that caused the start of the losing streak for the Bruins in the first place. Huzo had 38 saves but allowed 3 goals. Story of the game was that I believe here, and I'm trying to find Kane's name on here, and I don't think Kane did sign a deal, but he did not make his official start yet. That will happen, believe it or not, I think tonight. Or not tonight, sorry. Oh yeah, tonight against Connor Bedard. It'll be Connor Bedard versus Patrick Kane in Detroit. Big time watch, big time feel for this one here. Knowing the Blackhawks suck really though, but you gotta look at it from this perspective here. It's Patrick Kane versus Connor Bedard. That's a kid right now that they chose over you. So if I'm Patrick Kane here tonight, yes, you got plagued with injuries, but you're still a hell of a player. Corey Perry apparently got into some trouble here. He got released. Taylor Hall was injured. He's done for the year, but I guess he got cut from the team as well. I guess there's been some stuff going on with him. Corey Perry, I guess, slept with someone's mother, I guess. I don't know. There's been a lot of crazy reports in the NHL. But the Red Wings and Blackhawks tonight, big time watch tonight if you're a big time hockey fan. This is almost like sort of like a Stanley Cup like final preview. Like if the Blackhawks would have made a comeback this year, which it's in the realm of possibility. They're not that far behind at this point. Still a long season. I mean, they started out pretty well. They just got to let Connor Bedard be Connor Bedard at this point and have somebody else step up besides him. That's all I'm saying. Especially going up to your protege that you replaced that would have been on the same team in Chicago at this point had he not left and went to New York and also Detroit now at this point. You're facing tonight. The Sharks play the Bruins tonight. If they lose to San Jose tonight, here's the way I'm looking at it. I'm going on a rant tomorrow about this, and I'm starting to show off with that and not Thursday Night Football. And tonight, Thursday Night Football has got the Dallas Cowboys and the Seattle Seahawks. By the way, I'm taking the Dallas Cowboys. Just spoiler there. That's my pick for tonight. I'm taking the Dallas Cowboys tonight to beat the Seattle Seahawks. Their defense is going to go ballistic against that offensive line in Seattle. And Geno Smith's going to be overwhelmed. He's going to get sacked 6 times in this game. 2 of them by Micah Parsons. And whoever else wants to join in on the sack party. Cowboys win big tonight, 34-14. Or actually, in this case here, no, 38-13. I'm going to say a touchdown and 2 field goals for the Seahawks tonight. That's it. And I think this touchdown comes on a random punt return by Smith Nagaba. I don't even think there's somebody off of the touchdown even scored tonight in this game. Just a special teams flop. You also got the Florida Panthers at the Montreal Canadiens, New Jersey Devils at the Philadelphia Flyers. You have the Pittsburgh Penguins at the Tampa Bay Lightning. You have the Seattle Kraken at the Toronto Maple Leafs tonight. You have the Minnesota Wild at the Nashville Predators, Oilers at the Winnipeg Jets, Avalanche at the Arizona Coyotes, Dallas Stars at the Calgary Flames, Islanders at the Hurricanes, Sabres at the Blues, and you have the Washington Capitals at the Anaheim Ducks. And you also have the Vegas Golden Knights playing the Vancouver Canucks tonight in Vancouver. This and there's a shock for you. The Vancouver Canucks tonight are favored over the defending champions tonight. That's a statement right there. If that's not a lot of pressure in Vancouver tonight to deliver tonight and get the win, I don't know what is. But Brock Boeser has been the MVP of that whole team. Just like Marchand was last year for the Vegas Golden Knights throughout the regular season and the playoffs. Brock Boeser's on his way of doing what Marchand did for the Golden Knights last year. The Canucks might be a team this year that might be, and they could get first place tonight with this win. Just stating the obvious here. They're not that far behind. If they win tonight, they get first place. And according to BetMGM and DraftKings, Vancouver is favored tonight. That's a big Vancouver win tonight. Vancouver needs to get this W tonight in the worst way possible. And here's the way I look at it right now. I think Vancouver might be on the fast track of getting the best record in hockey by the time the All-Star break runs around. I think they are. They've been a better team overall. I've believed in them since the start of the season. That they're officially back. I think the fact they scored 8 goals against Edmonton and to basically just expose the big three of Vander Kane, Leon Draisaitl, and Connor McDavid that night and opening night when they're all on that ice. I was a believer even then. I was believing in the Chicago Blackhawks even too, because I thought to myself, you know what? These are the two teams that have a future. And I got to say realistically at this point, the Avalanche right now, they're starting to age a little bit. They're showing their age right now. They're still on a Stanley Cup slump from like 2 years ago at this point. Like, it's just the Bruins. I mean, they're showing their true colors now at this point. You got players playing up their asses at this point, not respecting their head coach and Jim Montgomery. Sorry, I don't know why I said Jordan. Anyway. But you kind of get my point here. I mean, it's just the Bruins have the best record at this point, but for how long? Okay? If they beat San Jose tonight, what does it say about the Bruins tonight? That they beat a crappy goalie. Great. Blackwood this year, by the way, is 3-9-2 this year. He sucks. He's not that great. He's terrible. I mean, you got a guy who's allowed 3.6 goals per average here. It ain't pretty. And I look at it like this. The other goalie is even worse. So you figure, okay, that makes things a lot harder than it has to be this point. I'm just trying to find the goalies here. You got Kahune, I believe he's played 9 games so far. Is 2-6. He's even worse. I'm trying to see what the goals were allowed here. Corona is 1-0 with a 7.765. Cahoon's got a 0.889 here. They've allowed Corona apparently has allowed 7.74 goals here apparently, and he's somehow 1-0, I guess. Cahoon's allowed 4.12. I'm trying to figure out how Blackwood's got 9 losses. He's only allowed 3 goals here at this point. That can't be right. That can't be a right stat at all at this point. Something's a little off in that stat. Anyway. The Bruins win tonight. I guess it's something, but it's not like a overreaction type of thing though. Swayman's supposed to go tonight. I mean, at this point, he must be shook with the lack of practice he got this week and the fact he got pulled at allowing 2 goals. Not back to back, by the way, in 2 different periods. So I thought that was dumb. They're playing again after this one at Toronto. That's a huge one. I don't know if they projected goal. Actually, Yolmark is projected a goal in that game against Wool. And I gotta say here at this point, when you got if the approach in this whole thing was that Yolmark was gonna be number 1 the entire time, why have Swayman play it as hot as he was? Why have him play the entire time? I don't know, because it seems like here you put Yolmark here in this game here tonight instead of putting your number 1 goalie in there against the easiest opponent to beat, who's clearly tanking. I don't get it. I just think that's pretty stupid. We had college basketball on for the last couple of days. Duke lost the other night. I'm trying to get to the top 25 on here from, was it last night they lost? Or let's go to Tuesday here. I think it was Tuesday. Tuesday was a Kentucky game. Kentucky beat Miami in a big win. Kentucky was coming in 12th ranked overall. Miami was undefeated going in as an 8th seed. They lost to Kentucky 95-73. Georgia Tech upset Mississippi State on Tuesday 67-59. Mississippi State was 21st ranked overall. Gonzaga was 11th ranked. They beat CSUB 81-65. Baylor coming in at 9th ranked. They beat Nicholas 108-70. Number 1 ranked Purdue beating Texas Southern 99-67. 3rd ranked Marquette beating Southern 93-56. I actually predicted this score, believe it or not. Shocking, right? Clemson remains undefeated in college basketball play. They're better than their football team. They beat 23rd ranked Alabama. They make them drop to 5-2. They beat them 85-77. North Carolina, 17th ranked North Carolina won last night over 10th ranked Tennessee, 192. Duke dropping another game right now to another upset loss to Arkansas, who just had the 7-game losing streak against ranked opponents. They beat Duke 80-75. St. Joe's upsets Villanova in Villanova. Another shocking upset. What is this, a college tournament here? Are we getting like March Madness here, early with these upsets here? Anyway, they beat Villanova 78-65. 22nd ranked James Madison beat Buffalo 81-66. Virginia upsetting Texas A&M. Texas A&M was coming in 14th ranked. They beat them, Virginia, 59-47. Virginia is now 6-1 on the year. Colorado State beating Colorado 88-83. Colorado State is undefeated at 7-0. Colorado is 5-2. We have tonight some college basketball action. We have Florida Atlantic taking on Liberty. Florida Atlantic is ranked 13th ranked. Oklahoma ranked 25th at 6-0. They've taken on UAPB, which I believe that's the University of Alabama, Arkansas Parkin, and it is Parkin Bluff. That should be a blowout game. That shouldn't be any close because that's not a really good school at all for basketball. 15th ranked Creighton is playing Oklahoma State at Oklahoma State. That should be an easy win for Creighton. I think Creighton will win. But I think Oklahoma State might cover the points here. So this might be a closer game than people think. 16th ranked Texas will take on Texas State tonight. Texas is ranked 16th. And UConn and Kansas are taking on each other Friday night at 9 o'clock. That's a big time game. I might be able to cover that on Saturday. I actually figured out my schedule at this point and how I'm actually going to do this for college football championship games. I might be back here late Saturday night. I'm not sure if I'm going to be going out Saturday night or Sunday night. I haven't really figured that out yet. But I might be back Saturday night, though, to still do the coverage here for that one right now and cover college basketball as well. So it might be all college sports throughout the entire weekend here. So you might be getting a lot of this on Saturday as well. You might get 4 episodes of me. You never know. But anyway, you got number 1 ranked Purdue taking on Northwestern, and you got 6th ranked Houston taking on Xavier on Friday. Then on Saturday, you have Florida State at 17th ranked North Carolina. You have Notre Dame at 8th ranked Miami. You have 7th ranked Duke at Georgia Tech. North Carolina wins. I don't even know who this is. UNCW here taking on University of Kentucky. I think that's North Carolina, Wilmington, I believe, and it is. 11th ranked Gonzaga taking on USC. Still no Brian James. It's okay. You got 3rd ranked Marquette at Wisconsin. You have Drexel at Villanova. Villanova's 18th ranked, by the way, still going to this game, even though they might lose their ranking because they lost to St. Joe's. Colgate's at 2nd ranked Arizona. You have 24th ranked Illinois at Rutgers. Charleston at 13th ranked Florida Atlantic. Northwestern State at 9th ranked Baylor. And 20th Colorado State taking on Washington. And you also have Providence taking on URI Saturday at 7:30. You have James Madison playing on Sunday against KC, which I think is Kansas City's basketball, I think. I'm not even sure. And you have 15th ranked Creighton at Nebraska, and you have Southern at 21st ranked Mississippi State. All college basketball all the time. We're going to get a lot of that. There was some audio from Flight with Mike, which I wanted to show because I actually did save the stuff on my profile line, which I hope I still have here under my saved information. We have some NBA rumor news as well. Reports going on right now. Suns head coach Frank Vogel has told Bobo that he's saving him for the playoffs. I kind of look at it like this. That would be interesting to see what would happen with Bobo here. It's like putting Robert Williams, in a starting rotation late in the playoffs last year with the Celtics. I mean, I figured to myself, you know what? It makes sense here. They want a big presence like Bobo in there, and they want, Bo, do we say that at the right time here? It's like a part-time player. I think it's a smart move on their part. Ty Lue was on trying to incorporate James Harden in the offense. He said, what's the point when he'll request a trade in the next year? So I think Ty Lue's done with James Harden here, even though the Clippers won the other night, and he was actually playing pretty good. He scored 26 points. But anyway, Ty Lue had his priorities straight. That was back on November 12th, by the way. And Josh Giddey, who was accused of having sexual relations with a minor who was apparently 14 years old, or 16 years old apparently, but I guess the state of consent of Oklahoma State is 16 years old. But here's some audio talking about that story.
New footage could potentially save Josh Giddey's career and keep him out of jail. Josh Giddey is a 21-year-old basketball player for the OKC Thunder who has recently been accused of being involved in an improper relationship with a 16-year-old girl. The alleged victim liked the post exposing this information about Josh Giddey. Josh Giddey was born in Melbourne, Australia, where the age of consent is 16, and plays for the OKC Thunder, where in Oklahoma the age of consent is 16. But this footage is something that we've been sleeping on this channel. There's footage of Josh Giddey in a club that I'm assuming is over the age of 18, where he's with this same girl. If this girl was allowed into a club that's over the ages of 18 and up, then this could potentially save Josh. While this was all going on, Josh Giddey has still been playing basketball, and the head coach of the OKC Thunder hasn't even thought about taking him out of the lineup. And it could possibly be because this.
That new information better say this kid's career, because I first heard about this. My first thought was the age of consent basically in every state now at this point is 16 years old. I mean, let's be realistic here. Rhode Island's the age of consent is 16 years old. You have, I mean, I know it's not right. I know it's kind of creepy for older guys that date girls that are under the age of 18 at this point. I mean, I'd say date girls your own age at this point or date older. I don't care. But if the age of consent is 16 years old at this point, I'd say at this point, let it happen. But if it's under the age of 15 or 14, you're gross. You're disgusting. You're a slime ball at this point. You're a scumbag. That girl deserves to have a girl friends or guy friends or whatever sexual preference and experience they want to have at this point at that age with their own age group. I would say he was pulling a Wander Franco here, but Wander Franco went below the age of consent, so that guy's a perv. The guy at this point, as far as I'm concerned, couldn't get a girl at his age. That's what it tells me right there. But I hope this footage does save his at this point. He's still been playing. He's been playing great basketball. He's been playing great. He's been great help with Shadir Gilgeous Alexander at this point. Those two has been a great combo. So I think it's great that they have those guys in the court. I mean, it's interesting. So I kind of hope this works out for Giddey here. Flight with Mike also mentioned this about the Aaron Rodgers return here, which I think at this point right now, Rodgers should just sit out here and just stay healthy here because there's really no reason at this point. The Jets aren't going to make the playoffs, obviously, this year. They're 4-8 now. By the time he gets back, they're going to be out of playoff contention anyway. So it makes no difference here either way. They're probably going to lose again this weekend. So here's what the story is.
Is Aaron Rodgers making a horrific mistake? When the New York Jets traded for Aaron Rodgers, he was expected to lead them to the promised land. But unfortunately, 75 seconds into his career, he tore his Achilles tendon. Zach Wilson needed to play well enough to be able to make it into the playoffs if Aaron Rodgers was to make a miraculous return. And today we found out that Aaron Rodgers is making a miraculous return. Jets head coach Robert Saleh said that Rodgers has been cleared for functional football activity. The problem is that the New York Jets have less than a 1% chance of making it into the playoffs. They're third place in the AFC East. They currently hold the 8th pick in the NFL draft. So some people are suggesting that even though Aaron Rodgers has the opportunity to make this remarkable comeback, it would be better for him to focus on resting and maybe improving that Jets draft pick. People are asking, even though this is incredible,
and I already mentioned before about the Jets draft pick at this point. It's projected to be a tackle at this point. They might just trade out to the Patriots. They might get Marvin Harrison Jr. as well from the Cardinals. I mean, that's the way I look at it at this point. I actually kind of predict that's actually going to end up happening here. And I actually do kind of predict that Kyler Murray might be on his way out of Arizona. And I think realistically, I think Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins might leave for Arizona, I think. I don't know what it is. I feel like Kyler Murray's going to end up going to Minnesota anyway with better weaponry anyway. You get Justin Jefferson to go there with Zach Ertz and Marquise Brown with Kirk Cousins at quarterback. That might be a win. You're not giving up a lot at this point. You're getting up like a second or third round at this point, with the fact right now that Kirk Cousins could be a sign and trade realistically here, because in free agency with a tore Achilles, it's not going to be easy for him to come back in like 9 months at this point. I mean, he tore it in late October, which means he'd be back by training camp, but maybe he won't be. So, but it's a wait and see kind of thing. You never know. I mean, it's realistic here. But I mean, I first heard about this. My first thought was Rodgers is going to stay with the Jets, but you could get Devontae Adams and you could get Marvin Harrison Jr. in a draft pick move here if you trade up with the Cardinals and trade away your offensive tackle to the Patriots at this point. Whatever. Who cares? You're not going to get Caleb Williams anyway. Why would you want Caleb Williams? You got Aaron Rodgers, right? In this case here, you could draft Shedeur Sanders. He could be learning on the wing of Aaron Rodgers. What a player to learn under in the next year's draft here. Because at Shedeur at this point, his draft stock is dropped for next year as well, because we don't know how bad his shoulder is going to be. Okay, he's with a bad offensive line. He's with a team that went 4-8. I don't know if that's a first-round draft pick record that's going to lift up his draft stock. And the record of the team being sucky might hurt his draft stock even more. I'm just saying. He might be a second or third rounder. You never know. A lot of things could happen going forward here. So with that being being said, like that right there is a setup for that right there. I think it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out for the Jets. I mean, if you can get Marvin Harrison Jr. and Devontae Adams to play here long term, because here's one way of looking at it. Shedeur and Devontae, and now you can bring in, Jimmy Horn Jr. I would love to see him play with the New York Jets at this point. Can you imagine him being back in the NFL football field here? Playing alongside with his teammate. And look at Shiloh Sanders. Could he be playing alongside with, Sauce Gardner? I mean, you can learn on the wing of him. Like, there's a lot of ways you can go with this, really. So, if you're a Jets fan. So, who knows? Mark Cuban is leaving Shark Tank, and he also sold a stock of the Mavericks. He bought the Mavericks at I think he sold a piece of his stock right now worth of $3.5 billion. He bought it for $285 million back in 2000. It's kind of insane when you think about it, really. Him leaving Shark Tank at this point, that show's going to cancel. That's all I'm going to say. That show is going to cancel. There's no way that lasts. I mean, you get rid of the best thing out there for television. That's just all there is to it. Anyway, I am signing off. That is the end of the show. Went a little bit longer than I thought I was going to go, but hey, I'm kind of glad I did it today. Just in the mood to do it. Want to talk about some Red Sox with you? I got to do that. Talked about the Patriots sucking. Got to do that too. Talked about the Swifties, sticking it to all the non-Swiftie fans out there, talking about because here's another way of looking at it. They're saying the relationship is real. They're saying the relationship is fake to make, I heard it was because of a dumb idea of it's more Taylor Swift music being played in the NFL. I don't think that's the case. I don't think that really is the reason for that relationship to happen. I don't think she needs a football player to make her music more popular. It's not like she was dead last. And it wasn't for the movie. And it wasn't for more NFL viewers to then quit if they broke up. I think they were watching football before they even were Swiftie. Let's put it that way. But anyway, enough about that. I talked about the Patriots with you being kicked off of Monday Night Football. They deserved it. I think they should be kicked out of the primetime football day on Christmas Eve, but they've already promoted that thing so much. I kind of doubt that's going to happen. It's still within the timeline here, and I can name you a game right now before I even leave this show. I'll name you a football game right now that could take the place for that particular matchup. I can name it for you right now. It's what is it? Week 16. This is going to end up happening here. Give me right now at this point, and I want this game to be a primetime game. You put Dallas and Miami as a primetime Christmas Eve game, I promise you that would be more watched than this crapbag Patriots-Broncos game. The fact that Broncos are only 6-point favorites going into that game is kind of a joke. They should be a 16-point favorite. Honestly, at this point, just to troll some Patriot fans out there, and I'm a Patriot fan at this point, but I might just troll my own self here, my own fandom self as a Patriot Boston fan. I might buy myself a Shannon Sharp jersey just to troll this Patriots fans. I'm telling you. I might just do it. I've been thinking about it all day long, and I listen to their show. I've always been a Shannon Sharp supporter here. I might as well just buy one. I might as well buy the old logo one and wear it, just to troll Patriot fans out there, just to troll my cousin, who's a diehard Patriot fan, who's like, I'm not a real Patriot fan. Well, screw you. But anyway, I just might do it because realistically here, I'm not gonna get another opportunity like that. But anyway, I would switch out realistically here this Patriot Broncos game for Cowboys Dolphins. You want a playoff Super Bowl atmosphere like matchup on Christmas Eve in prime time. Now, granted, the whole world's not gonna be able to watch it because some of them don't have the NFL Network because they live under a rock, or they don't have YouTube TV for NFL Sunday Ticket, or they don't have the NFL app on their phone. But it's a great moneymaker. And honestly, I would put on Amazon Prime before I would put on NFL Network. Hell, I would put on NBC at this point. Then I would put anything else on here at this point. I don't know if they're going to switch out the Bengals-Steelers game for a 4:31. I think at this point, switching that out would be kind of pointless. Honestly, at this point, if I'm the NFL, I would consider that. Making it a 4:30 game on a Saturday. Why not? Who cares? No one's going to watch that broadcast anyway. I think the Buffalo Bills-Chargers game might be covered by Chris Collinsworth and Mike Tirico anyway. So who knows? Anyway, I'll be back on here tomorrow. I'll be talking about the Seahawks-Cowboys game. Like I said before, I got the Cowboys winning tonight. They're 9.5-point favorites. They're going to beat the snot out of the Seahawks in this game. And Geno Smith's going to throw a couple of picks in that game. I think Darren Bland might have a pick six tonight. That's one way of looking at it. I think Darren Bland might have a pick six tonight on Geno Smith. That's my prediction. That's my spoiler for tonight's game. Let's see. Oh, yeah, Tiger Woods, by the way, I meant to mention this earlier. Tiger Woods making his solid early return in the PGA Tour. That happened earlier today in the Hero World Challenger leaderboard. Tiger Woods scored golf scores in round one on Thursday. Not often does a 47-year-old headline a professional golf tournament, but these are ordinary times. His long-awaited return, nearly 8 months of competition, the 15-time major champion looked to shake off a rust at the tournament, hinting a potential rampant return. Where's the score on here? Where's the return on here? Spieth scored 68. I don't see Woods on here. Yeah, I don't see it. Spieth was 4 under par today. I think Tiger might have scored. I don't see it on here. Sheffield was part of that board today. I think I don't see it on here. I don't see Woods on here. I think Woods was a little shaky, but I think he was Tiger's got some speed, I guess. He had some pretty great shots today, so it doesn't look like it's an Tiger Woods was at -5. So great for Tiger here at this point. And here's one more thing before we get up the air here. Jim Harbaugh's rumors for these two of the NFL teams are already discussing Michigan coach potential hire. It looks like now the two teams are the Carolina Panthers being one of the favorites and the Chicago Bears. I see Jim Harbaugh going to Carolina, because I feel like if the Bears keep winning here, they might just keep Matt Elfers around. I'm just saying. They got to lose 5 games at this point in order for Harbaugh to consider Chicago. And it could happen. But I can see Carolina. I can see him, I can see him trying to turn around Bryce Young. But realistically, I can see the Chicago Bears as well. I could see him trying to turn around Justin Fields and getting some offensive linemen in there. That I do believe. All right, now I'm officially done here. So I did a long show here. You can follow me on my Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Snapchat. It's a completely different order. I normally do it in a different order here, but I felt like changing the order up. Why not? And I will see you all again tomorrow. Have a good night, guys. I'm out.